Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, Donald Trump had Denmark, Greenland, Marco Rubio, JD Vance all come together at the White House so that they can try to finagle Greenland away. And Donald's he's on a land stealing trip right now. So he think just because he got Venezuela, he can just get any land he wants now. So he's back on Greenland, and he admitted if they don't just give it to him, he's going to just take it by force. Well, the EU, they're already sending military over there, and say if they said if the US go in there by force, they will retaliate. So Donald Trump said either they got to give it up or he'll take it by force. So he said something really interesting, y'all. And I'm going to play this first. And I know you're going to catch this. I won't even have to say nothing to you. You're going to catch this one. Hold on one second. Okay, so this is only 21 seconds long, but I want y'all to pay close attention to what Donald Trump said. Give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you. Thank you.
Too, I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land.
Did you hear what he said? So he's talking about Denmark. He said just because Denmark had a boat that landed on Greenland 500 years ago, it does not mean they own it. Wouldn't that same thing apply to you nasty, filthy, dirty, disgusting pilgrims that came here? Because I know that boat had to be stankin' to high holy hell when y'all came over here. So wouldn't that apply to you? So just because you landed here, it don't mean you own the land. That's what, hey, we're going by Donald Trump's logic. Okay? Because look, y'all came over here from Europe. That means y'all weren't taking baths. There were no bathrooms on those boats. Y'all were probably in the same filthy ass clothes. Okay? So no, that ship probably smelled unbelievable. Probably the sharks wouldn't even come near that ship. It stunk so bad. And y'all brought your filthy, stinking, and the women had to be on their rags along the way, and it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And they said that's how a lot of these mice got in this land, because these mice that run around are European, y'all. The ones that run around here in America, their origins are from Europe, which means when they sailed over here, they brought all these rodents over here with them. Okay, these rodents came with them. So, but that's what he said. He said, just because your ship landed on Greenland don't mean you own it. Well, I guess y'all don't own America then. because that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what the history is. I just thought that was interesting that he said that. Donald Trump, one thing about him, his ass got a big ass mouth. And you can best believe if anybody's going to let the cat out the bag, it's going to be Donald Trump. It's going to be Donald Trump. All right, y'all. I just found that interesting. Now let's get to the other video on this subject matter. Give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
The White House will host talks on the future of Greenland today after U.S. threats to take the Arctic island by force. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance will sit down with top diplomats from Denmark and Greenland, and the summit could determine the fate of NATO itself. It comes a day after the island's prime minister said that Greenland would side with Denmark if it was made to choose. When Trump was asked about the PM's comments, he said he did not know who the Greenlandic leader was, but claimed the politician would have a big problem.
Happening today, Vice President J.D. Vance will meet with foreign ministers from Denmark and Greenland to keep insisting that the island is not for sale. The Trump administration has repeatedly claimed the Arctic island's importance to the U.S. national security. It also holds untapped deposits of critical minerals needed to manufacture computers and phones. Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen yesterday reiterated his support for remaining an autonomous territory of Denmark ahead of today's talks in Washington.
High noon in Copenhagen, and the guard changes at the main royal palace as Danes worried that their kingdom is about to be shrunk by a Trumpian heist. President Trump has been stretching nerves here in Copenhagen this past week by ramping up his rhetoric, but the Danes haven't responded. They're hoping that quiet diplomacy will neutralize the threat to annex Greenland. Denmark is backed by NATO allies who believe in the sanctity of Greenlandic sovereignty. They fear the president has been emboldened by his Venezuelan operation and will pull the trigger.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay. I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Rasmus Jarlov chairs Denmark's Parliamentary Defence Committee. He says the Danes will be accommodating, but they have some solid red lines.
Trump has said that they need to do something on Greenland, and I would take him at his word, because we don't mind doing something on Greenland. But what we do mind and what we can never agree to is just handing over Greenland, selling 57,000 Danish citizens to become Americans. They don't want to do that, and it's not a matter of price. They categorically don't want that, and we are not going to agree to it.
Greenland possesses vast untapped mineral wealth. Its strategic importance grows daily as the Arctic ice melts, creating maritime passageways across the top of the globe. The United States' sole military presence is its Pitofik space base, used for missile early warning and defense and space surveillance. Vice President Vance used his visit there last March to pile pressure on Denmark, which is responsible for Greenland's defense and foreign affairs.
Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations.
Lynn Mortensgaard is an Arctic specialist at the Danish Institute for International Studies. She says that under a 1951 treaty, there's nothing to stop America beefing up its military presence.
In this defense agreement, the U.S. has very wide-ranging options for expanding its military presence in Greenland, with bases or increasing troops or having new installations, radar installations. Many different things could be done under this defense agreement.
Last October, Denmark pledged $4.2 billion to boost Greenland's security with ice-breaking patrol vessels and advanced drones. This commitment, though, is apparently insufficient for President Trump.
There is basically nothing to stop the United States military from staking a claim in Greenland. So, for example, a single soldier could just walk down the main street of Nuuk and claim that this is America now, but that is something that would be immediately contested.
Associate Professor Tom Crosby lectures on military operations at the Royal Danish Defence College.
This is forcing NATO to contemplate its existence and the possibility that it will not exist in the near future. So this is an absolute existential question for NATO. It is unprecedented, and I would say it was unimaginable just a few years ago. It's the most significant challenge NATO has ever encountered.
But on Monday, NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte promised action.
All allies agree on the importance of the Arctic and Arctic security, because we know that with sea lanes opening up, there is a risk that the Russians and the Chinese will be more active. And currently, we are working on the next steps to make sure that indeed we collectively protect what is at stake.
But if they invade Greenland, this will go down in history as the dumbest foreign policy move in the 21st century, 20th century, and maybe we got to go all the way back to the 19th. And let me explain why. Number one, we don't need to invade Greenland to protect our security interests in Greenland. You know why? Because Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark, is our ally. They will do whatever we want to do in Greenland. We actually have an agreement. It was signed in 1951, where basically it gives us free rein to do whatever we want militarily in Greenland. So if we need to enhance, we need to build more bases, we need to have more soldiers there, we can do that without invading Greenland or without buying Greenland. And I just want to remind everybody, we have bases all over the planet. The Fifth Fleet. It's our biggest, most important fleet in the Middle East. You know where it's based? It's not based in the United States of America in a territory we annexed, 100 years ago. It's based in Bahrain. We don't need to annex Bahrain to have our fleet there.
We have some major news right now. Donald Trump woke up and is demanding that Greenland become part of the United States, saying anything less is unacceptable. This comes as Secretary of State Marco Rubio is meeting with Danish leaders along with leaders from Greenland today. In addition, according to DR, which is a public service broadcasting network in Denmark, Denmark is now actively sending reinforcements to Greenland, including equipment and advanced command to prepare logistics for larger troop deployment potentially. According to NBC News, it would cost the United States $700 billion to buy Greenland. Where that money would come from, well, that would come out of your pocket. It would be taxpayer funds that would be used to try to purchase Greenland. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been directed by the White House to come up with a proposal to make the purchase. But remember, both Denmark and Greenland say, we don't want it. We don't want it at all. This is a major development, big meeting coming today. Spread the word and follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. There'll be more to come very soon.
Live at the White House today, where we got a lot of foreign reporters in. That is because Danish and Greenland foreign ministers are here, meeting at the White House with Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and Vice President J.D. Vance, leading this meeting having to do with Greenland. Denmark, obviously not happy about this. Greenland saying they don't want anything to do with the U.S. taking over, but the President Trump, absolutely determined here to make Greenland basically own it as part of the United States in some way. There's a buy on the table, but at the end of the day, President Trump is adamant about
So will Greenland go red, white, and blue? The Trump administration hosting high-level talks in Washington as the president keeps up his push to make the Danish territory part of the U.S. Trump has repeatedly said that the U.S. needs to take control of the island to ensure our national security and to halt Chinese and Russian influence in the Arctic. Well, ahead of the talks, the president posted on social media that NATO becomes far more formidable and effective with Greenland in the hands of the United States. Anything less than that is unacceptable. White House correspondent Karen Travers is on the story for us. So what could a potential U.S. takeover of Greenland mean for the NATO alliance, Karen?
Yeah, this has certainly been met with significant pushback from some of our key NATO allies, European partners on many global hotspots. And we've even heard from the Prime Minister of Greenland himself, who said that this is not what they want. The statement said that if we have to choose between the U.S. and Denmark here and now, we choose Denmark, NATO, and the EU. So making it very clear where their allegiances lie at this point. Still, this meeting today, the vice president, the secretary of state meeting with Danish officials, that came at the request of Danish officials. They wanted to discuss this issue because it was very clear that the president is serious about this. That's what we've heard from the vice president, who says you have to take the president at his word at this, that he believes this is a very critical national security issue for the United States. And as he has put it, he has said the United States will get Greenland one way or another. Now, there's questions about whether that means military force or buying Greenland, as we're told the Secretary of State said to lawmakers last week. But that is something we're waiting to see if there is a readout of this meeting, what was presented to these officials from Denmark today. But they've made it very clear Greenland is not for sale in their view.
All right. Yeah. So Marco Rubio suggested that the United States buy Greenland, and I think it was $700 billion. Why? Why? I'm sorry. As a taxpayer, why would I want $700 billion of taxpayer money to go to buy Greenland? That's stupid. And it's not a necessity. But Donald Trump is saying, oh, no, we need it for national security. No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay, so for 400 years, we didn't need it for national security, but all of a sudden we need it for national security. Donald Trump is full of crap. And he ain't going to pay that. He wants to take it just like Venezuela. He wants to take it without paying a dime. So he already said more than once, either they give it to the U.S. or it'll be taken by force. So this ain't going to end well, y'all. It ain't going to end well. It's not. And he seems to be on this like never before. So if he gets Greenland, he'll be back on the Canada stuff, Canada being the 51st state. He'll be back on that mess again. And, and he's quietly watching Cuba too, by the way, and don't think he won't go after Cuba. He will. He will, because they're starving. I need to do a live on that where they go into Cuba and talk actually to the people, and you'll see one woman is holding a baby and the baby is nothing. I mean, the child is not a baby, but it's a child, and the child is skin and bones. You can see he is definitely starving. And there's other ones where one guy, they bought him food. The guy it was a white man interviewing him, and he bought this Afro-Cuban some food. And he told him he hadn't eaten in 2 days. So, yeah, they're really going through it. So I might show that tomorrow. I just need time to put it together, but I have the videos of them going in there. And it is a mess in that place. Ooh, that place looks awful. It looks awful. I mean, Cuba, I put Cuba right up there with Africa with the appearance of it. It is trash everywhere. It's not clean. Cuba is very filthy. It's not a clean country at all. And the way they had trash piled up, I said, it's really just like Africa as far as trash piled up all over the place. But it's crazy what's going on that island. And then Donald Trump is trying to make it worse by not giving them oil and money like Maduro used to do. He said he ain't giving them nothing. So they're not going to last long. They even admitted without the oil and the funds they got from Venezuela, they are definitely going to collapse. So, and Donald Trump will do just what people like him do. Once it collapses, he'll go in there making demands, and they'll have to bow down to Donald Trump before somebody goes in there and do something to help the people. And that's all. And so that's all he's sitting around waiting. He's waiting for it to collapse so he can go in there and make them do whatever he wants in order to get food and whatever they need in that country. Oil, food, you know. I mean, these people are so wicked, but this is who they are. We know who they are. We've been dealing with it for centuries now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure is evil. Stefan T7V, thank you so much for the super chat. Someone has been whispering in his ear that China and Russia is trying to take it. China and Russia has never said they were trying to take Greenland. You know, I think Donald Trump is just lying just to justify stealing another landmass. But this is what these folks do. But all he's doing is making the judgment worse on this place every time he jumps up to try to steal some more land. This is just more judgment on America. Mm-hmm. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll see what the outcome of these talks are. But Denmark, before they went in, already said they were not giving up Greenland to Donald Trump. So we'll see how this all turned out. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Shalom, family.